consideration and approval. I urge the House to favorably consider the bill. I want to now speak about the reforms under the state corporations. Mr. Speaker, state corporations remain a cornerstone of Kenya's development architecture, delivering essential public services and catalyzing strategic investments. Mr. Speaker, I mentioned in my statement last year that the government embarked on a comprehensive reforms which target to streamline mandates, strengthen governance, enhance accountability, and improve operational efficiency of state-owned enterprises. Mr. Speaker, the implementation of the reforms is ongoing through a multi-agency technical working committee. In the first phase, the committee considered 23 mergers, 16 dissolutions, 7 transfers of functions back to ministries, departments and agencies, and the declassification of selected state corporations. Mr. Speaker, under phase 1 of the reforms, the committee has finalized the review of enabling legislations of the affected state corporations and drafted appropriate bills where necessary. Review of the staff complements, skills, and placement deployment of those affected so as to facilitate a smooth transition and documentation of assets and liabilities of the entities identified. I submitted to this House the draft bill supporting the implementation of the reforms under phase 1, and I urge the honorable members to favorably consider the bills to enable timely implementation of the reforms. Now let me speak about the new kid in the town, government-owned enterprises. Mr. Speaker, further, as part of the reforms, the Government-Owned Enterprises Act number 25 of 2025 was assented to by His Excellency the President on 21st November 2025 and came into effect on 5th December 2025. The Act provides a modern framework for the ownership, oversight, and management of commercial state corporations. Under the Act, the Independent Search and Selection Panel has begun the process of recruiting independent directors of the Board of GOEs. All the government-owned enterprises are required to operate as commercial entities, that is for profit, be self-financing, be self-sustaining, and accountable to the public through the National Treasury. Let me now speak about National Infrastructure Fund. Mr. Speaker, in March 2026, the government established the National Infrastructure Fund following the enactment of the National Infrastructure Act of 2026. The NIF is an innovative mechanism for scaling up infrastructure development by mobilizing private capital and expertise to execute commercially viable infrastructure projects while reducing reliance on taxation and debt. The fund will promote growth of infrastructure projects by pooling capital from diverse sources, which include pension funds, sovereign wealth funds, private equity, banks, development finance institutions, among others, to finance large-scale and long-term projects. In this respect, Mr. Speaker, the proceeds from privatization will be channeled into the fund, that ensuring transparent revenue flow in financing national priority projects, including national highways, airports, seaports, electricity generation, ICT, water and irrigation, and agribusiness. As a start, the proceeds from the March 2026 IPO of Kenya Pipeline Company of 106 billion Kenya shillings, as well as the expected 204 billion Kenya shillings from the partial divestiture of the government's stake in Safaricom to Vodacom, will form the seed capital to the fund. Under Sovereign Wealth Fund, Mr. Speaker, to complement the National Infrastructure Fund, the government has submitted to this August House the bill to establish the Sovereign Wealth Fund with 3 distinct components. The first component is the stabilization component, then there is the strategic infrastructure investment component, and finally, the future generation, also known as Urithi component. And this fund will bring into operation Article 201 of the Constitution on intergenerational equity by ensuring that natural resources wealth is invested productively and spread equitably to both current and future generations. Let me now talk about speak to sugar reforms, or the reforms in the sugar sector. Mr. Speaker, the government has also taken practical steps to deliver its promise to modernize the sugar mills and transform these once struggling factories into productive, sustainable enterprises. The sugar sector reform program has been significantly progressed following the implementation of the government leasing framework for state-owned sugar companies. The leasing process has since been successfully concluded, with investors having fully taken over operations of the sugar factories, namely Chemelis Sugar Company, Moroni Sugar Company, South Nyanza Sugar Company, and Zoia Sugar Company. Mr. Speaker, since the resumption of operations, substantial investments have been undertaken towards rehabilitation and modernization of the factories, resulting in significant revamping of the mills and improvement of operational capacity. These initiatives are expected to enhance efficiency, restore profitability, and protect the livelihoods of farmers. Mr. Speaker, these are not isolated transactions. They are proof that when governance is strengthened, when mandates are clarified, and when institutions are held to account, the corporations can be genuine engines of growth. The government will press forward, deepening these reforms and ensuring that every public enterprise earns its place through performance, transparency, and value created. Now, let me speak to national assets and inventory management. Mr. Speaker, to strengthen national assets management, the National Treasury has operationalized the assets and inventory management modules in our IFMIS, providing real-time visibility of public assets across all levels of government. An analysis of the asset registers shows that ministries, departments, and agencies collectively hold assets valued at approximately 4.9 trillion Kenya shillings, underscoring the importance of robust asset management. To strengthen transparency and support the transition to accrual accounting, the National Treasury has developed a government asset valuation policy framework and a public assets tagging framework. Mr. Speaker, to unlock greater value from these assets without placing additional pressure on public finances, the National Treasury is developing an asset optimization framework and a leasing framework to attract private capital and expertise while supporting infrastructure development and improved service delivery. Now let me speak to digital e-signatures in government. Mr. Speaker, in line with the digital transformation agenda, the government has also embarked on reforms to modernize and harmonize the legal and regulatory framework governing secure digital identities, electronic signatures, electronic seals, and time stamping services. Excuse me. Mr. Speaker, to make this a reality, I will in the next financial year submit to this House necessary amendments to the Public Finance Management Act and Kenya Information and Communications Act, as well as the attendant regulations. This will make use of electronic signatures, electronic seals, and time stamping services a reality in government, thereby creating efficiency in service delivery. Mr. Speaker, let me speak to something that has been troubling, the pending bills. Mr. Speaker, as I informed this House in my statement last year, the pending bills verification committee was established in November 2023 to review and validate outstanding claims and provide a credible basis for settlement. The committee has since concluded its work and analyzed a total of 91,911 pending bill claims, valued at over 637 billion shillings. Following this verification exercise, 29,885 claims, amounting to 235.6 billion, have been recommended for settlement. Of this amount, Kenya shillings 80.3 billion has already been settled through securitization in the road sector, leaving a verified outstanding balance of 155.3 billion Kenya shillings for other sectors. Mr. Speaker, to settle the verified outstanding balance of 155.3 billion Kenya shillings, the National Treasury has proposed a balanced and sustainable settlement strategy, which includes a combination of direct budgetary allocations and securitization. The proposal is to settle the verified outstanding balance of 155.3 billion over 2 years, starting with the financial year 2026-2027. Mr. Speaker, in the financial year 2026-27, the National Treasury is proposing a budgetary provision of 68 billion to settle the verified pending bills to suppliers and contractors owed by the government for amounts of up to 100 million shillings. This provision will also partly settle suppliers or contractors whose pending bills exceed 100 million shillings, ensuring that no supplier is excluded.
Noton chitab kolenjin ko budget noton kitestai kesomoni agenge en bunge noton nebo boror ako logoiwek chekisibi missing en rikyinet asikobit kebunen logoiwekyok kobaten kaimuche komwa Mbadi kole niton ko budget netai kosomoni yetab kobet emoni neki Prime Minister noton ko Raila Odinga ako kaimuch kora kong'alalen tuguk cheterterchin choton cheboto kebeberta noton nebo tililindo anan sekta nebo tililindo ne kamwa kole kebeberata nebo tililindo anan kokomuch kaitaban serikali en kenyitab chepkondok nebo kenyini chepkondok chekibendi kere kele kakimuch keisto deni noton nemiten en kibagenge noton nebo tugetab tililindo noton nebo NHIF. Ibwatilen budget noton nebo kenyini ko agenge en sectors choton chenyoru kelchin missing ko sector noton nebo somanet ak korub noton nebo tililindo. Takeibun logoichu en koindo en logoiwek chemiten tai. Kiwongunen logoichu kebeberta noton nebo Finland ole miten president emet noton nebo Finland ole en betutab amut kokoimuch president William Ruto kosirchin en kanchinosiek anan MOUs ak president noton nebo emet noton nebo Finland noton ko Alexander Stubb. MOUs cheterterchin en sekta noton nebo somanet ak sekta noton nebo muswoknotetab kasari anan technology and innovation koboto sekta noton nebo ripsetab itonwekab emet. Kong'ololchin sirikab logoiwek komwa president William Ruto kole bo komonut missing katuiyetabgei nebo emoni ak emetab Finland ak en komostanyin komwa president Stubb kole bo komonut missing tilyandit nemiten en kwenutab emoni ak emonoton nebo Finland nekomwa kole kong'alalen ak president William Ruto tetutik cheterterchin cheboto rorunetab kalyet en emetab Sudan ak miondo nebo Ebola nemiten DRC.
President Stubb and I have held candid, constructive and highly productive discussions aimed at deepening cooperation across a broad range of strategic sectors. Together, we reviewed the state of our bilateral relations and agreed on practical measures to strengthen collaboration, expand economic opportunity, and advance sustainable development. Finland remains an important partner for Kenya in Europe, while Kenya continues to serve as a gateway to East Africa and a strategic hub for trade, investment, innovation, and regional connectivity. We reaffirm our commitment to building a modern and mutually beneficial partnership that responds to the aspirations of the people of Kenya and the people of Finland.
In our discussions today, we've talked about Russia's war of aggression in Ukraine. We've talked about the war in Sudan and DRC. And we have talked about the wars ranging in the Middle East. I welcome Kenya's support for the principles of the UN Charter and international law, including sovereignty and territorial integrity. You have been such a voice of reason internationally, not only in the past 4 years, but before that as well. President Ruto gave me an overview of the situation in Sudan, which is the most serious humanitarian crisis of our time. I commend Kenya's active role in mediation and conflict resolution.
Ko choton chitab kolenjin en logoiwekab emet chebo saisiechu kong'eten ketesiet noton nebo Nenyon TV. Director nenyunet ko Alan Kiprono amokune koskoleng'ut netala.